haven't been live in a few days, and I am actually cooking some dinner, so I thought that I would come on and hang out for a little bit, see what people are feeling. We are on our last couple of days of being with my family in Indiana before we head back to Washington. So got a lot of feelings, got a lot of thoughts. So yeah, I just want to come on and do my usual thing. Hello, everybody on Instagram. Hi, people on YouTube. Welcome in. As usual, when I go live, anything is on the table. If you're new here, especially, feel free to introduce yourself. Tell me where you're from. You can ask me almost anything. I'm usually pretty open on these things. Does not have to be abuse related. It can be travel. It can be just general, like anything about life. Hey, Kat, how's it going? You're doing okay. Hi from Ohio. Hello, Buckeye Clay. How's it going? This will probably be my last live in Indiana. I was hoping to have a really awesome family-filled last weekend. We are heading back to Washington on Monday, and I don't have a car. My sister has been generous enough to let me borrow her car for most of my time here. We've had some little stretches where we didn't have a vehicle because they have an extra one, but both of their vehicles needed work while I was here. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go see my grandparents. I'm going to go see my sister. And we're just kind of like stranded, which is, again, it's okay. Kind of anticlimactic end to our time here, but I'm lucky that I had a car at all. So I'm very grateful. But yeah, like last 2 days here, and it's just been kind of like rainy. Ad and I walked to the park today, and we're just hanging out with my mom, which is okay. My mom and I have spent a lot of time together, but she's really special. So, we'll be okay. Hello from Burbank, California. Hello. Hello from Toronto. Hi. I'm really bummed because if you don't know, there's a group of us creators that the group is called the Narc Avengers, and they have just decided to do a meetup in Toronto in November. And I really want to try to go to most of the meet and greets that we have together and the events that we have together, because it's a great way to get out and meet people and offer like face-to-face support and things like that. But I will be in Mexico for a wedding, so I can't complain because I will be in Mexico. It's going to be awesome. I'm super excited. Cannot wait to go to this wedding. Haven't been to a wedding in a very long time, and it's going to be my first wedding like outside the country, like outside of the typical like what we think of as like weddings. So I'm very excited for that. But yeah, I almost was going to go to Toronto. So hello. Yes, ma'am. I'm okay. Hi from Arizona. Hello. Things from Philadelphia. Well, hello. Thank you for being here. Awesome. Yeah. So like I was saying about the Narc Avengers getting together, I will be going to the one in Austin, Texas in October. So if you want to go to that and meet just myself, and I think there's going to be 8 of us other creators who are raising awareness about abuse and recovery and all of that stuff. We will be offering one-on-one coaching sessions in person. So that should be pretty cool. And plus we're going to have a meet and greet where you can like meet all of us. And who knows what else we'll get up to. So that's going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to that. I'm currently just trying to decide if I'm going to bring Adler or not. So we'll see how that goes. Something wrong with this cheese. My hometown, Austin, Texas. I love Austin. I have not been there for a very long time. I lived in Dallas for a little bit. I really wanted to move to Austin, but I wasn't a nationally certified interpreter yet. And Austin has really, really high standards for sign language interpreters, which is good. And it should be like that. So I moved to Dallas thinking, oh, I'll get my foot in the door in Texas, like in Dallas. And I ended up not liking living in Dallas. Also, I met Ad's dad, and he was getting stationed in North Carolina, and our relationship was progressing. And I was like, all right, I'll just go North Carolina. So Texas didn't last very long for me, but I've always liked Austin, and I like San Antonio as well. Although I've heard that, do I know you? Actually, I just visited. I live in Ohio. Do I know you? Are you currently in Indiana, or did you go back to Ohio? Texas School for the Deaf and Blind is right there on South Congress. I have a picture of me standing in front of that. That is what I went. I went to Austin. We hung out at downtown and we visited the deaf school. I was actually there visiting some deaf folks, which was really cool. And I do kind of sometimes wish that I would have explored the option of staying there a little bit more, but that's what happens, right? We get in relationships and we think that that's what we need to be doing. And that's what I did. And I wouldn't have Adler. If I hadn't made those choices. So, all right. If you have ever been with me on a live while I'm cooking, I need to have like a designated person on my live that like is watching a timer for me. I do have a timer on my phone, but like I'll forget to start the oven or I'll like, my name is Amaya. I'm heading to Ohio now. Awesome. Amaya Palms. Well, nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm currently in Indiana right now, and tomorrow's our last day here before we head back to Washington. Hello from Ohio. Hello from New York City. I had a foster sister who was deaf. Awesome. I hope you learned some sign language. Yeah, so I hope my connection is good. Apparently my internet has been a little bit better lately. I'm still not, I guess I forgot I was going to try to go live on TikTok tonight instead of Instagram. But I was able to FaceTime someone today, which was really awesome because I haven't been able to have, like, I just haven't had the connection to be able to do that. So I'm hoping that we have a nice stable connection and we can hang out and chat for a little bit and that I'm not like annoyingly cutting out for everyone. But yeah. Does anyone have anything they want to talk about? Anything they want to know about me? If you're new here, you can ask me pretty much anything. I'm pretty much an open book as long as questions are asked like respectfully, which obviously reading someone's writing, it's sometimes hard to tell if it's respectful or not. But yeah, here to do that, or we can talk about whatever. I live in the NOLA area now. That's awesome. I used to live in Pensacola and I always loved going to New Orleans because I always felt like New Orleans, like out of this entire country, is one of the areas that does have the most tangible culture. I'm a very I love cultures and going to other places and learning about culture and food and music and dancing and all that stuff. And New Orleans for me is one of those places where it's like, again, it's tangible. Like you walk into obviously the French Quarter where all the tourists go and you're like, okay, this feels a little different from my cornfield town where everyone's the same and nothing is nothing is happening. So I've always loved going to New Orleans, but it's been a very long time. It's probably been 10 years since I went. How's your son doing? He's doing really well right now. He's playing Legos in the living room. So I can focus on cooking. Also, I needed some adult time. So here we are. Clear signal. Awesome. Austin is a live music capital of the world. Yeah. And you know what? I never went to any music events in Austin because I was with deaf people. And we did go to some bars and we did some fun things, but that wasn't on our list. Not to say that deaf people do not enjoy music, because they do. They do. It just, I think, is maybe not like the first thing that you would think about when you're hanging out with a group of deaf people, like let's go to a concert or whatever. But yeah, we went to some bars. But again, it has been a very long time since I've been there. All right, you're going in the oven. Even though the oven's not warm yet. You doing good, buddy? Awesome. The vibrations, yup. Awesome. I love when people know things about my life and what I do and my work and yeah. Okay. So what else? Beautiful people, what's going on? Do you have any questions about anything that I have coming up? What's the fundraiser for? So every time I go live on Instagram, there's an option on Instagram to collect donations for anything. Like there's all kinds of options and you can click anything. I always click for the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's the official hotline for anyone who needs help. Their website is full of really good information. It explains all the different kinds of abuse. So if you're in a relationship and you're like, I don't know if I'm being abused, it like lists off. I'm sure there's some things that they're missing, but there's like financial abuse, coercion, emotional abuse, all of those things. Like this is what that looks like. They have tons of resources. They talk about abuse. There's like layers of other, like in each community, there's like layers of different aspects and things like that. And so they share a lot of resources about that. But I saw on the news the other day that they are getting more calls than ever, which is really awesome. More people are feeling like they can call for help. They're finding this resource that they want to be able to use, but the hotline is swamped. And so people are having to wait to speak to someone that can help them. And so, yeah, that's why I'll probably always pick the hotline when it comes to Instagram donations. But yeah, I don't expect people to just like, every time you come in here, throw all your money at it. But it's just there as an option, no pressure. Your videos have really helped me. Thank you so much. Just came out of a narcissistic, toxic relationship. I'm really proud of you for getting out, and hang in there. You're not alone. There are a lot of people that are working through that right now, and it's a process. And yeah, we're kind of all in this together. So, oh, excellent. I didn't know you could do that on Insta. Great work. Thank you. Yeah, it's really cool. I don't know when they added that feature, but like I said, for a while I wasn't remembering to click it, but now I always try to click it. I do usually gay appreciate it, and I don't really know how it works like once it's there, because I don't get them. Like, it's not like I get it and then donate it. Instagram, I guess, takes care of it. I don't know how it works, but I wish they would send me like a thing that says like, your followers have now donated, X amount to the hotline. Because like, let's celebrate that. Like, that's really awesome. I really appreciate that. But unfortunately, I haven't seen anything like that. So, yes. Let's see. Okay, so I haven't been talking about this for a while. I haven't been feeling well. I'm going through a lot of ups and downs right now. That's why my title is Let's Be Real. It's been a rough little bit of time for me, but I did want to remind everybody, because now we are just a couple of days away from the webinar that I'm going to be on the panel of. It's myself and like, I think 4 other survivors / content creators / authors, people with PhDs, like really awesome people who are doing good work. We will be interviewing the author of the book, Why Can't I Just Leave? And we'll be talking about, actually, hang on, I got a really, really awesome message about it today. We're going to be talking about the reason we get stuck in these bad relationships, the definition of narcissistic drama triangle and how it leads to fights, how to see through the relationship's deception, how to break a trauma bond, how to identify the best way to exit toxic relationships, and how to jumpstart healing. So all 6 really, really awesome trouble points, things to focus on and learn about and things like that. So if any of those sound like, 1, something you want to talk about tonight, 2, something that, thank you for the donation, I appreciate that, something that you could benefit from by going to the webinar, there is a link in my bio. And also I have a highlight on my page with the link on that. It is August 18th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. And if you can't make it, it will be recorded and sent to your inbox, and you can watch it at any time, which is really awesome. It's completely private. No one will know you're there. We won't see your names. The only person who will know you're there is Dr. Carrie McAvoy, who is running the whole thing. But she also advised me to tell people, if you feel uncomfortable with your real name, obviously, because we just want you all to feel safe, and we want it to be as accessible as possible to people who are not necessarily fully in a situation where they can talk about this stuff. So what are you baking? I guess like stuffed peppers. I would say jalapeno poppers, but I only have 2 actual jalapenos, and the other ones are just like a certain kind of pepper. I don't know what they are. They're not bell peppers. But jalapeno poppers are like one of my favorite, like, guilty pleasures. I don't know why I would call it that, but like, they're one of my favorite foods that I will just eat like so many of them. I ate them a lot when I was pregnant with Adler. So my mom has a beautiful garden. And unfortunately, like I said, this is like almost our last day here, and the peppers are just now on. Last time we were home, we were in like September, and I would eat it every single night. So I'm trying to eat some before I go. I am 1 year out of a narc relationship, and to anyone who's just gotten out, trust me, it gets so much better. The fog is just clearing for me, and I have such good things in my life now. Thank you so much for saying that. I always appreciate how supportive people are when they are in these lives. This is a really awesome community of people that I have here. And you just said the fog is just now clearing a year out. So everyone is different, and all of us are going to have, like, I feel like my fog started to clear right away. And so I started to see things really clear right away. And for those like couple of months, it was just like my eyes were just being held open like this. And I was starting to understand things, and I was like digesting all this information really quickly. And then it ebbs and flows. So there's times, and I do feel like I still have a lot of brain fog. I do have PTSD and ADHD, which both of those things are very foggy. And I'm just kind of a foggy person, but it can take that long. It can take even longer. Manji Ruprai, who, but it's worth it. I just want to say that it's worth it, because it sounds daunting to be like, oh my God, this is going to be the rest of my life to heal. Yeah, we're all going to be healing for the rest of our lives, and things are going to come up that are going to make us like have setbacks, and we're going to remember things that like we thought we were okay about and things like that. But like, it is so worth it. And what I was going to say about Manjeet is, like, in her book, she says that it takes 18 to 24 months, maybe even more, to like really feel like you're doing well after narcissistic abuse. Obviously, it can take longer. It is a long journey. And like I said, we're all on our own journey, and it's going to look different for everybody. Thank you for your wonderful page. You helped me feel supported, and it's such a terrible time. Thank you so much. It like, that means so much to me, and it really keeps me going, because I just felt so alone. I felt like I was the only person in the whole entire world that felt like that. And that is kind of one of the things. What else, y'all? The floor is creaky. It is Saturday. I don't usually go live on the weekend. It is Saturday, right? I think it's Saturday, and it's like Saturday evening for a lot of us. So, any updates on Greece? It's all the same. Everything is set. It's all on the website. You can find the information on the Greece highlight in my bio. I haven't been like talking about Greece as much, because obviously it's a year away, and I don't want to like bombard people and be like, come to Greece, come to Greece. So I'll be talking about it, like reminding people periodically. The first 10 people who sign up to come to Greece with me next year will get an early bird discount. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm kind of hoping that we fill the whole trip up, because there are like a limited amount of people who can join on the trip. Hey, can I help you? Come on. We don't have a front window at our house in Washington. So I'm like, what is wrong with this dog? She never barks. She's not a barker. But my mom has a front window, and we live across from the park. So she's having a good time. But yeah, Greece is going to be super awesome. Like I said, the schedule is all determined. All the information is on there, and also on the highlight in my bio, it'll explain some of the things, like what's included on the trip. What's not included is the airfare. That is not included. So start looking now. If you want to come to Greece, start looking for airfare, start looking at different options, like if you have multiple airport options, like which one might be the one, kind of get an idea of how much those flights are going to cost. The good thing about this trip is that you have to make a down payment. I think it's like 25%. And then you can set up to make payments, and the final payment isn't due until I think 60 days. So June of 2023. So you have like from now till June of 2023 to pay it all off if you want to come. So that's really good. I think really helpful, because sometimes it's really hard to be like, oh my gosh, I don't have the money right now, but I really want to go. And it gives you time to like plan ahead and save and do all that stuff. So yeah, if you have any questions after you look at the highlight, I try to include like a lot of like the frequently asked questions about it. I'm here. Message me. Let's talk about it. I'm a silent fan. I think you are beyond gorgeous in every way. Just saying, oh, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I wish that I could know all of you. I wish that I could like remember all of you and like know who you all were and stuff like that. But obviously I'm at a point where a lot of you are silent and I probably won't ever know who you are, but I really do appreciate all of you being here. It's okay to cry. It's okay to get mad, but there will come a time when you can forgive. But until then, do what you need to do to heal yourself. So let's talk about forgiveness. I'm seeing a lot of survivors because I follow a lot of survivors on TikTok. I do. Twitter. My Twitter is very small. I just started using Twitter again. I used to have like a bigger account, but I like totally wanted to start over. And I'm kind of starting to get into it again, but I'm in this weird place across all social media where I am talking about abuse, but I also don't want to be an abuse account. And it's a really weird, like, I feel like I'm on one of those like kids, like balance boards where I'm like, we're going to talk about abuse. I don't want to talk about it ever again. We have one here. Ones we have is they're called spooner boards, but you're like, woo, no, back and forth, back and forth. And so like some days I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna tweet, yeah, I'm gonna retweet, yeah, I'm gonna like whatever. And then some days I'm like, I don't want to use this because I just talk about abuse and I want to talk about something else and I have no motivation to do that. But anyway, forgetting you're wrong or like not grateful for what you said, but like this is something that's obviously completely individual to the survivor to be like, I need to forgive this person so that I can move on, but it's your choice. It shouldn't be like, yeah, I'm going to say I'm going to forgive this person because society tells me I have to. Like a lot of us experienced abuse when we were children, and like you might not want to ever experience the adult or forgive the adult that chose to do something to you. And that's okay. You don't have to. You might never forgive the person that abused you in a relationship, but that doesn't mean that you're holding on to spite and anger and hate and all of that stuff. You can heal and you can get all those yucky feelings out, but not want to forgive. And for me, in terms of forgiveness, it doesn't feel important to me. It doesn't feel like something that I need to sit down and say, okay, I forgive this person, because I don't have any feelings towards that person, like whatsoever. Because I think it's a very hard way to live. To be an abusive person but not know that you're abusive, and then to know that like that person's going to spend the rest of their life like chasing a feeling that they want so desperately but will never actually be able to maintain, I think is very sad. And I feel sorry for them, and I feel sorry for the trauma that they had that caused them to be this way, because it's horrible. But I don't really think about them very often, and I don't dwell on like what they're doing or not doing. And yeah, to me, and I've described this before, like to me, when I talk about abuse, I feel like I'm just talking about the experience, and the person is separate, which is really weird because they're really not. Like I have to technically be talking about the abuser when I talk about abuse. Like this is my experience. This is what happened. This is how they would treat me when I would try to leave, blah, blah, blah. But to me, the person feels like a phantom that never existed because they weren't real. Like that relationship wasn't real. And so it's easier for me to separate them and not really have negative feelings toward that person, if that makes sense. I feel like letting go and forgiving, forgetting are totally separate, right? I will never forget what happened, and we don't want to forget. We don't want it to be like with PTSD and flashbacks. Obviously, we want to work on healing and working through triggers and breathing and doing those things for like those immediate traumatic, horrible triggers. Coming up with coping strategies and not letting it control our lives and things like that. But we don't want to forget. We do not want to forget the way they treated us, because then if they ever do come back, we've forgotten. We've forgotten how they treated us, and we can take them right back. And we also don't want to forget for anyone else that comes along, because we want to be able to help and support each other when we recognize that. We want to be able to make sure that the people that we are letting in our lives aren't treating us that way as well. We're recognizing the red flags. Our bodies and our brains are remembering the way it felt to be there, so that when we get that why am I walking on eggshells? Why do I feel so anxious? Why is my chest? Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep. No, we want to remember. We really do. Again, we don't want it haunting us. We want those flashbacks under control. Eventually, we want to work towards that. But we don't want to forget. And forgiving is completely up to the survivor. You are under no obligation to do that. If it feels right to you, then go for it. Thank you for the donation. I really appreciate it. But you don't have to forgive. The idea of forgiveness with a narcissistic abuser is difficult for me because I feel like it would validate for them that what they did, it was actually okay. And I'm glad you said that, because if you choose to forgive your abuser or abusers, that doesn't mean that you have to tell them that you forgive them. It doesn't mean you have to write them a letter. It doesn't mean you have to call them or text them and say, hey, I forgive you. Because we shouldn't be I don't want to use the word should. I don't want to be in contact with my abuser ever again. There's no part of me that's like, well, I just need this closure. Well, I just need to tell them I forgive them so that I can move on. They can move on, whatever. If you do, I understand. Might be better to like write them a letter and then burn it or something like that, because if you get in contact with them, you're opening up that door for them to come back and hoover you again, right? And so we want to be really careful about giving them that window of opportunity. But yeah, you absolutely do not have to forgive them at all, but let alone where they're being told that. Because like you said, in the mind of a narcissistic person, if I reach out and say, hey, I forgive you, then they're like, see, it wasn't that bad. She forgives me. It's only been a year. Couldn't have been that bad. Hopefully she'll stop talking about it on Instagram, like whatever, you know? And then they are, like you said, validated and telling themselves that the way they treat people is okay. And the next person will be okay with it. And the next person, which they do that anyway. They don't need us to forgive them. They're going to do it anyway. Absolutely. Well said. Thank you. Oh yeah. Good conversation tonight, y'all. I'm really, really appreciating the comments. That was a good one. I don't think that I've really ever specifically talked about forgiveness on a live or talked about it in content that I've made yet. So that was a really good one. That's something that I don't really think about, because for me, it's not something that I struggle with. Like, I'm not like, oh, I need to just forgive this person. And that's just not something I think about. Yeah, buddy?
Can you undo that?
Claro.
One of these that knot.
Sí, dame.
And let me see if there's any other knot.
So you want me to undo it?
That. Because I don't need that string on it.
Do you want me to cut it off? Do you want me to cut it off so it's totally off?
I would love that.
You would love that?
Do it.
Okay.
It's because I just want something less around it.
You just, okay, so you want...
I need something only around it. That.
Hi.
That's what.
You want to take that back with you?
Yeah, but that's what's what I'm talking about.
Okay, your dinner's almost ready, so I'm going to put it on your plate for you, and when it's all cooled off, I'll bring it in, okay? Okay, thank you, everybody. Obviously, if you follow me, you know my mom, and he comes first. Agreed. I feel like if I wrote them, I forgive you, I'd be essentially telling them, yeah, you were right, and now you can come back to me. It's very dangerous to do that. So I'm glad that you're aware of that, and I hope that anyone else who sees this and was thinking about doing that or has done it, you did it. It's okay. You probably didn't know, but it is very dangerous. It is any single thing that you say, whether good or bad. If you say, hey, I hate you, leave me alone, never contact me again, supply. Doors open. Let me tell you a story. At the end of the time with my abuser, so I'm halfway out the door, my abuser pulls the ex-wife out off of the supply shelf and chooses to email her about a book that was left behind when they got divorced that the ex-wife hasn't seen in years, hasn't asked for, probably has a new copy or just doesn't care. Very angry, and essentially was like, I don't know why you keep popping up in my email. I just want to be able to check my email without your name popping up. Leave me alone. Never talk to me again, essentially. And they come out and they're like, hey, I didn't tell you, but I emailed my ex-wife. And like, she responded, she's like really mad at me. Can you read it? And I like read it and I was like, this is so dramatic. Like, why, they wanted me to respond with jealousy and insecurity. Why are you reaching out to her? Are you going to revive this relationship? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Do you still love her? And I was just like, okay. And they said to me, I think she wants me to email her back. I think she wants to hear from me, because if she responds angrily, that means she still loves me. Do y'all hear? Do you want me to repeat that? I'm not going to. She still loves me because she responded angrily. She still has feelings for me. And my guess is, and I don't know anything about this person, that she probably still has some things that she needs to work through. That doesn't mean that she wants to be contacted by this person, but because she responded, probably doesn't know that this is a narcissist, but definitely knows this person's abusive and not good to be around. That door is open. Now she's in danger of being contacted again when this person runs out of supply. And so, like, for me, it's a hard line, very hard line. No, block them. Absolutely no response whatsoever, because again, good or bad response, it's supply, it's opening the door. They're taking you off that shelf and they're like, yep, this one's still good. Great to see you again. Are you still in Spain? No, I've been back in the States for a while. We came home like July 1st, and we've been visiting my family in Indiana. We are about to leave on Monday. We're heading back to Washington, and I have very, 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 very mixed feelings about it. So there's a lot that I have to figure out and deal with on that end when we get back there. And I've just been kind of like a brat living in my little world here. And like Indiana's been really, really hard for me. And that's why I titled this Let's Be Real, because I've been really struggling. And I have chosen not to share the struggle super publicly on Instagram, because like I am with my family and it's really hard. And I don't want to just be like complaining, but family is hard. Family is very hard, because like it's like going back to the scene of the original crime, because most of us, our original traumas from our family. And then being, I think, more aware, like that my fog has cleared from the abuse. Actually, that's the Instagram post reel that I made today, was like, okay, all of this abuse was so heavily weighing on me, and that's all I could think about. Like my whole entire brain was just like this person and what we were going through, what I was going through, and like, how do I be happy again? Am I ever going to be okay? And blah, blah, blah. And then like, even in the month, like after that, like that's all you can think about in terms of healing trauma. It's these triggers are just like hot and heavy. And now I've done so much work on that. And that doesn't mean that I'm done. This is going to be something that's with me for a very long time. Now I can see the other things that are in my life that I had buried so deep, and they're coming back up. And so, that's a part of I made that video today because like, that's a part of the healing that like a lot of people don't talk about, is like, once you heal this, like once you start the healing journey, which is like super daunting, other things are going to come to the surface. Like you're cleaning that out. Well, now there's room for this on stop and just be like, you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna go back to my unhealthy coping mechanisms and pretend that I'm fine with my family. But we're not, right? And some family members will be able to like talk to and work on healing and set boundaries and things like that. And some of them were just not, because they're not ready to. And it doesn't matter where you're at on your healing journey. They don't care. And they think you're pretentious because you're like, well, trauma and healing and this and that. And by the way, I turned in my portfolio, and hopefully soon I'll hear back and I will have my certification, and I will be available for one-on-one coaching. So if you want to be on my coaching list, please message me on Instagram or email me. Both of that's all of that is on my Instagram bio, and we'll get you set up. We'll get you set up for that. I'm also working on doing like some kind of group coaching or ongoing support type thing for like a group setting, but I got to get back to Washington and get my schedule in order and try to figure out from there. But I just want to put that out there. What was the final straw for you that made you leave? I'm going to not say this very clearly because I'm not alone right now. The way they started treating the tiny human, which it had always been something where I felt like I was protecting him from them. Watching out how they spoke to him and how we would, like, if it was just left up to them and I never said anything, this guy would be so traumatized. But I was able to like protect him and be kind of the go-between, and like always was just like, But at the end, and I have made some content about this, and I believe I have a podcast. TikTok, you're gonna have to dig like really far, because I did a video about like what was the final straw, but it was just, they came home and they were very cruel, and they were talking to him in a way that he didn't like. And he said, I don't want you. And they got mad. And I'm not going to say anymore because I don't want to, like, I don't know if he's listening, but I don't want to bring anything up. But that was it. We packed up and we left that night. And again, I do have some recent podcasts talking about that. Like, we packed up and we left that night, but we were not free yet. They were coming over. There's a thing called narcissistic injury, where if you leave a narcissist before they're quote unquote done with you, they will freak out. And it's really scary how they act. I never want to see someone acting like that again, breaking into your house, showing up unannounced, making excuses to come see you, threatening you, doing all this stuff. And so we packed up and I bought a one-way ticket to Indiana. That's where I am now. I came to stay with my family, and I did some traveling, and we stayed gone for 90 days, another 30 days after I had confirmation that they were out. And yeah, that was that. It's a long process. It's usually not something that's very easy to get out of. I went through the same with my daughter and my soon-to-be ex-husband. It's incredibly difficult. So that's why a lot of survivors get very angry when people will say, like, those of us who are making content, putting this out there, people will say, just leave. Why don't you just leave? You chose them, you this, you that. And we're like, we tried. We tried several times to just leave, and this is what they did when I left. I don't want to get into like great detail, but there was a lot of physical abuse when I would try to leave early on in the relationship and like through the middle of it. I would try to leave. I was like, I cannot do this. I'm done. I'm leaving, and I would be prevented from leaving. And you kind of learned that. You're like, this isn't worth trying to leave. I have a kid. I can't get out the door safely. It's not. And a lot of people don't understand that. Fortunately for them, a lot of people don't want to understand that. But yeah, it's definitely not something to say to someone who's in it. There's one thing with you being treated bad. It's another deal when your child is time to go. Absolutely. And I feel terrible because Shirley, there's someone on Twitter who spreads awareness of pets being abused in relationships, and he often tweets if an adult is abusing another adult and there's a child around, that child is being abused. Sorry about the cheese wrapper. Because through what their parent is going through, their parent is unable to be focused. Their parent is walking on eggshells. Their parent is whatever. No matter how you look at it, that child is not healthy and good and safe and happy. Period. And it's not fair. And so, you know, obviously it took a lot leading up to that to get out, but it comes to a point that even if they're not directly abusing the child is, it's like by proxy, and it's not okay. Do you have a mat on your table? Nope, I see them. Do you want green or orange? Orange. Orange it is. Coming right up. All right. I'm gonna go deliver his dinner. I will wait and see if there's like any other comments. If not, I'll probably wrap this up. But I still have time, so if you want to ask me something while I'm dropping this off, go for it. Okay. Looking so good. I prefer this. You prefer that one? I like both of them though, because you both them and they look so good. My husband is abusive to me and our kids, and has been abusive pretty much our whole relationship. We only just started learning about attachment styles and childhood trauma, so we're working on healing. But I don't think I could ever forgive his reactions. So I don't want to say anything to make you feel like it will never work. Like, if you really want to try to make it work with your husband and you think that he can actually heal and receive therapy and self-reflect and do the work and things like that, great. I went through the same thing. I was constantly looking for what was wrong in the relationship and how to fix it. And attachment styles, which are a very real thing and they're very important to learn about, attachment styles, Enneagram, all this stuff. I was looking at it because I was trying to figure it out and I was trying to fix myself. I was trying to be like, well, I have this attachment style. If I fix this, then they'll be okay. Well, I'm Enneagram this. And if I understand their Enneagram, then they'll be okay. And so I don't know your situation. You want me to come eat with you? I absolutely will. My peppers are almost done, okay? I'll let me pull them out and see if they're done, and then I'll be right in. So you have to decide at some point, like, if those tools, which are really incredible tools, if those tools are actually helping or if they're harming you and keeping you in the relationship longer than you should be, because it's kind of like, sí, mi amor. Yeah, boy. All right, they look ready, buddy. Good news.
What?
They look ready. So now I'll make my plate and I'll come sit with you. I'm so excited. So as you can see, now that my food is done, it's time for me to go eat with my kiddo. But I appreciate all of you so much. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the questions. Please, if you think it would be helpful, go check out the link in my bio to get tickets to the webinar on August 18th. And or click on the webinar highlight to get the information, to get the link, to get your tickets, everything like that. Remember, if you can't make it on August 18th, that's okay. It will be recorded and sent to your inbox. Why am I doing all the hand stuff? I don't know. So that is definitely something that I feel will be really important and helpful to people. It's a way to help a lot of people really fast. And also a lot more affordable than like therapy and coaching. Not to say those things shouldn't also be used. Those are very important things. But this can be an easy first stepping stone to people who aren't quite ready to do that stuff or don't have the finances to do that stuff. So please, please, please think about coming. What else? I'll be around, y'all. Like I said, heading back to Washington in a couple of days. I'm going to need some time to get myself settled. And then I will try to come up with a schedule for going live because a lot of you have asked me to put that out so you know when you can find me. So everyone, again, thank you for coming and hanging out. And I hope this was helpful. And I will see you all soon. Take care.